Hello students, so in this video we'll be covering the three laws of inheritance, Mendelian inheritance. In our previous video we learned about chromosomes, genes and DNA, and we learned that there are two sets of chromosomes, as in one set of chromosome coming from the father and another coming from the mother, and they are homologous chromosomes. That means that they possess genes which code for the same characteristic, same traits. But if there are two genes present for the same characteristic, we know that both are not active. Just one is activated, and that one is dominant over the other one. So moving on from there, we come to a term called as allele. So when member of a pair of gene that occupy a given position on a homologous chromosome, that is called as an allele. Okay, so the example given, we you may have noticed in the video, when we crossed tall and short, there were in brackets you could see capital T and small t, small t. At that point of time I did not discuss them because we would have to introduce the term allele over there. Now it makes sense to introduce you to what exactly this capital T and small t, small t. So each t over here actually signifies the allele. Okay, so capital T shows you homozygous dominant. This capital T stands for dominant, and if they are the same, that is capital T capital, then it becomes homozygous. Okay, sharing the same size, same shape, having the same characters, coding for the same characters. So here it is coding for the tall characteristic in the garden pea plant, and each T is actually an allele. So it is a member of a pair of gene, and when it segregates into gametes, we'll see later on how this one T can segregate. Segregate means distributed separately. It gets segregated as one capital T and one capital T. It can donate two capital T's, but separately, individually. And similarly over here, short, this is homozygous recessive. Recessive, what when it is dominant, we denote it as capital in capital letters. When it is recessive, we denote it in small letters. And if both are dominant, then we call it as homozygous dominant. If we have both alleles as recessive, then we call it as homozygous recessive. In case of here, if you notice, then this is one capital T, one small t. In this case, it becomes a heterozygous because they are different. Okay, one is coding for the tall characteristic, one is coding for the short characteristic. Hence, they are different. And but the characteristic is the same, that is the height of the plant. And in this case, it is heterozygous dominant, because when there is when dominant and recessive come together, it is always the dominant trait that gets expressed, the dominant allele gets expressed. Hence we refer to this as heterozygous dominant. You see the examples given over here. It's capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, or small t, capital T, and small t, small t. Actually, capital T, small t, and small t, capital T are the same, but here it is given separately to show, or to this implies from whom we have got the allele. Okay, so there are two different plants that we have got the alleles from. That is why it shows you. We'll see the combination later on in the next few slides over here. But for now, you just remember what is an allele. It is a one member of a pair of a gene. So there are a pair of genes, and one member of it is referred to as an allele. And now they are homologous. They are the genes present on a homologous chromosomes. Okay, and as I mentioned over here, each T, whether it's small or big, is an allele. The capital letter denotes the dominant allele, whereas the small letter denotes the recessive allele. Coming to dominant and recessive traits. Now, when we crossed tall and short plants, we in our F1 generation we got all of them as tall plants. But when we carried out self pollination, Mendel found that 75% were tall, whereas 25% were observed to be short. Okay, so the character which expresses itself is known as the dominant trait. We know that fact, and tallness is a dominant character in the pea plant. Okay, and whereas short is a recessive character. In Mendel's experiment, we see that all trait in pea plants tends to express more than the short plants, which is shown over here in this case, wherein you have 75%, that is out of 4, 3 of them over here are tall plants, whereas just one of them is a short plant. So if you find out the percentages, then it comes to 75% being tall and 25% being short. Here, just for simplicity's sake, only 4 plants are given, but he had carried out experimentation in a vast number of plants, and then found out the percentages or the ratio in which the alleles get segregated or the traits are observed. So tall trait of the plant is said to be dominant over the short trait that we have already seen. Those characters which do not get expressed not just with respect to tall plants but with respect to other characteristics that he studied. There were 7 other characteristics, 6 other characteristics apart from the height of the plant that he studied, and those which did not express themselves or remained hidden in the F1 generation were referred to as recessive traits. Okay. Homozygous organisms. The term homozygous tells you that we have a pair of alleles, okay, or we refer to chromosomes which are identical, coming from 2 different sources but identical in size, shape, and the location at which the genes are present or the types of genes that are present, okay, within that chromosome. So organisms with identical alleles, in this case we refer to we go down to alleles rather than to chromosome. Organisms with identical alleles on homologous chromosome. Now have a look at this figure that is given over here. You see there is capital T, and capital T. So this could be self-pollination, and what it's shown is there are each of these organism. We'll take this as a plant, one plant, plant 2. Each one is giving 2 separate T's. See, this is actually, these are the gametes, and these are segregation. So during meiosis, what happens is, meiosis is part of the life cycle. What happens is during cell division. During cell division, the alleles get separated out individually. See, we have discussed the fact that 50% of the complete set of chromosomes is only donated to us from our father or from our mother. We don't get 100% from our father or 100% from our mother. And this is exactly what it says. Now this constitutes 100%, capital T, capital T. When it separates out into T and T, that means half, it is separated out into half, half. 50% T, 50% T total, 100% makes an individual over here. So this 50% can combine with 50, either of the 50%. Now in this case, it is both capital T as well. So which means there is no scope of much variation, as a result of which all will be capital T, the combination. So one T, capital T coming from this plant and another capital T coming from this plant. Now in self pollination, this is exactly what happens. So capital T, you see one T combining with this T, then this T again goes on to combine with this T. Similarly, this T combines with this T over here, and this T goes on to combine with this T over here. So as a result of which we get 4 different combinations, but all of them are tall. This is homozygous dominant in both the cases. We don't have small t anywhere over here. So all are tall homozygous plants. That is mostly seen in case of self-breeding, like self-pollination is giving rise to organisms or offsprings with the same traits. Then we have heterozygous organisms. If you have a look at the diagram over here, then there is a difference compared to what we had seen last time. And in the last example, we see both were capital T in both cases. However, over here, we see one organism having capital T, small t, capital T, small t. The phenotype, okay, that we discussed, that is the way the plant looks. This plant, both this plant as well as this plant, both these plants will be tall, okay, but at the cellular level or at the gene level, we see there is a difference. It is not having both alleles as capital T, or it is not homozygous dominant. It is dominant, it shows over here because it has got a capital T, and a dominant allele dominates over the recessive allele. It has got one recessive allele, small t, but it remains hidden in the next generation. But we'll see the combination, because we say segregation of alleles happens when we cross them. So this organism can donate one capital T or one small t. Similarly, in this case too, it can donate one capital T or one small t. Now if a capital T from this plant combines with a capital T of this plant, as seen in case of this, we get both as capital T, which will be homozygous tall or homozygous dominant. If the capital T from this plant combines with a small t of this plant, then also we'll get a dominant characteristic, that is the tall plant. However, in this case it is heterozygous tall, but when we see it from outside at the macroscopic level, or which we can see with the naked eye, then both these plants we will find no difference, because both will be tall. However, in case we combine this small t over here, okay, with the capital T from this particular plant, we'll get a combination of small t, capital T. However, in this case too, what we'll see will be a tall plant, but at the gene level, then it will be heterozygous tall, because it has got a recessive allele too. The difference comes, this is what he saw in the second generation, F2 generation, is that the small t, when it combines with the small t donated by this particular plant, then what happens is we get the both alleles are recessive, right? We get a small recessive allele combined with a small recessive allele from this plant, as a result of which what we have is two small recessive alleles, so homozygous recessive. And such a plant is a short plant or a dwarf plant, okay. Heterozygous organisms are also referred to as hybrid organisms. See over here the examples that are given for the alleles: capital T, small t, and small t, capital T. Mendel's experiment. Mendel actually conducted two different types of experiments, that is monohybrid cross and a dihybrid cross. In the coming slides we will see what exactly is a monohybrid cross and a dihybrid cross. So when we speak about the difference in the alleles, we speak about a capital T and a small t. We refer to the genotype of the organism. The genotype is the composition of genes present within an organism. So capital T, or a combination of capital T, or small t or capital T. This is a genotype of an organism. Whereas what we see, like capital T is actually a tall plant. So that what we see, what is the visible characteristic, that becomes the phenotype. So capital T is the genotype, and the phenotype would be tall plant. Similarly, small t and small t would be the genotype, and its phenotype would be a short plant. Or capital T, small t is the genotype, and its phenotype is a tall plant, or a small t or capital T is the genotype, and the phenotype would be a tall plant. So phenotype is what we can see at the macroscopic level with our visible eyes. Okay. So Mendel, in carrying out his monohybrid or dihybrid crosses, that is his experiments, he carried out experiments with 7 different types of characteristics, features, or traits, as you may call them, of the garden pea plant. These include the shape of seeds, the color of pods, shape of pods, plant height, position of flowers, and also the flower color. And he noted down the dominant traits and the recessive traits. So in case of shape of seeds, the round seed was dominant over the wrinkled seed. Similarly, in case of color of seeds, the yellow colored seeds were dominant over the green colored seeds. And in case of color of pods, the green colored pods were dominant over the yellow colored pods. Then in case of shape of pods, the full pods were dominant over the flat or constricted pods. And in case of the plant height, the tall plant, as we know, was dominant over the short plant. And the position of the flowers, the tall plant is dominant over the short plant, and the position of flowers, the leaf adjunctions are found to be dominant over whenever as compared to when the leaves are at the tips of branches. In case of flower color, the purple color flower was found to be dominant over the white color flower. So he compared these characteristics, and he found when conducting experiments with the help of the 7 traits that he measured or he observed, he noted down or observed various differences, and based on them he uh, happened to lay down the principles of inheritance, which we know it as in the form of 3 laws, which we'll study now. So coming to the monohybrid cross. Okay, the cross which we have seen first, in which Mendel showed inheritance of dominant and recessive characters. That was where you had the cross between the tall plant and the short plant, giving you all tall plant. That was a monohybrid cross, wherein we were just comparing one particular characteristic, that is the height of a plant. Okay, that is called as a monohybrid cross. So when only one character is considered while crossing two organisms, then such a cross is known as the monohybrid cross. the ratio of characters. So ratio of characters meaning, see, at the end of the F2 generation we got three tall plants and we got one short plant. So the ratio would be what, 3 is to 1. So 3 tall plants to 1 smaller. So that ratio is called as a monohybrid ratio. If a tall plant is crossed with a dwarf plant, that okay, now that's what I have mentioned. We get a 3 tall and 1 short plant at the end of F2 generation, giving us a monohybrid ratio of 3 is to 1. Coming to the monohybrid cross in terms of the genotypes, now you see the genotype over here, capital T, capital T. The phenotype would be a tall plant. So it is homozygous dominant. In this case, there is a small t. Small t would be is the genotype, whereas the phenotype is a dwarf plant or a short plant, and this is homozygous recessive. So each capital T homozygous dominant will donate two capital T's, whereas homozygous recessive will donate two small t's. So when during a cross between homozygous tall plants and homozygous dwarf plants, the F1 generation gives us all tall plants, but they are all heterozygous dominant. That means it has got a combination of capital T and small t in all its genotypes. When this F1 generation was self-pollinated, in this case, what we got was three tall plants and two three small plants and one tall plant. So three homozygous dominant and one one homozygous dominant, two heterozygous dominant, and one homozygous recessive. Coming to the dihybrid cross. Okay, in a dihybrid cross as opposed to the monohybrid cross, there are two characteristics that are combined. So over here what we see is, in a dihybrid cross we see that there is two different characteristics taken. One is for the shape of the seeds and the other one is for the color of the seeds. So what Mendel cross-pollinated pea plants with homozygous round and yellow seeds with homozygous wrinkled and green seeds. So round seeds were denoted by capital R, and yellow seeds were denoted with capital Y. But the wrinkled seeds were denoted with a small r, not W, but small r, to show that it is a recessive trait of this dominant characteristic, that is round seed. Similarly, for green seeds, it was not shown as capital G or small g, but instead it was shown as small y. So here we have capital R and capital R. So this signifies that the seeds were round, whereas the small r that you see over here, that signified that they were wrinkled seeds, this one, and yellow seeds were capital Y, whereas green on the other hand were small y over here. Okay, so now when we speak about what do you say, just erase this part. When we speak about cross-pollinating plants with round seeds and round and yellow seeds with wrinkled and green seeds, let's see what we get. So when it comes to segregation, okay, we have two different characteristics that we are comparing. So we have a capital R for round seed and a capital Y for yellow seeds segregating together. Then we have capital R and capital Y once again segregating. So because there are two R's and two Y's, so one R and one I comes here, one R and one Y comes here. Similarly, in this case, there are two small r's and two small y's. So one small r and one small y come here, one small r and one small y comes here. Now the gametes, these are the gametes, and they have now segregated separately. Now that they have segregated separately, now comes the time for a combination. So one set of gametes will combine with one set of gametes from this particular organism. So we have capital RY and combining first with small ry from this parent. What we get is capital R, capital Y, small y. See, because we have here, this is capital R, this goes with the small r from here, and this is capital Y, it goes with the small y from here. What is will be the result? This is the genotype, capital R, capital Y, small y. What the phenotype will be? What the phenotype is going to be round seeds and yellow seeds. Why round and yellow? Because we have a capital R, right, combining with small. So the capital R is the dominant R and it dominates the characteristic. So as a result of which we have round seeds, though at the genotypic level, genotype is heterozygous, that is, it has got a capital R and small r. In this case, it is a capital Y and small y, which means it has got to be yellow, heterozygous dominant. The dominant trait or dominant allele will overpower or dominate the recessive allele, which is small y. As a result, the phenotype of this particular offspring will be round and yellow seeds. Let's go to the next combination, capital R and small capital Y, combining this time with the next set, that would be small r and small y. Once again it will give us the same result, that is round and yellow seeds. Then we come to the next one, again capital R small y combining with small r and small y, it gives us, so in both the cases the F1 generation, we see all of them is giving us heterozygous round and yellow seeds. So in the F1 generation, we have the dominant trait, that is round and yellow, that got displayed, while the recessive trait wrinkled and green remain hidden. This becomes the principle of dominance, okay, where the dominating allele is capital R and capital Y, and it's showing its dominance. When the F1 generation was self-pollinated, in case of the dihybrid cross, we would have the capital R small r and capital Y small y being crossed with capital R small r and capital Y small y. In this case, you see how the alleles are segregated. From this particular organism, we will get capital R going with capital Y, okay, capital R with capital Y. Then we have capital R with small y. Then we have small r going with capital Y. Hold on. Here. And we have small r going with small y. This is the possible segregation of the gametes from this particular organism. And same goes with this parent as well. So you see both combinations in this case are then combined. So when we have capital R, capital Y combining with capital R and capital Y, we get capital R, capital Y, capital R, capital Y. Okay. So this would be totally yellow seeds and round seeds as well. When capital R combines with next one, that is capital R and small y, we get capital R, small y, capital R, big Y. this also would be round and yellow seeds. Then when the capital R capital Y combines with small r and capital Y, once again we get round and yellow seeds. So this is heterozygous dominant. Then we combine capital R, capital Y with small r and small y, and what we get as a result of that is capital R, capital Y, small r, small y. So it's going this way, not this way, it's going this way. We have ry from here combining with ry from here. This is here. ry, capital R, capital Y combining with capital R, small y over here. Capital R, capital Y combining with small r, capital Y over here. And capital R, capital Y combining with small r and small y over here. But in all these cases, it is round as well as yellow seeds. Next, when we combine capital R small y with capital R and capital Y, once again we get round and yellow seeds. But when capital R small y is combined with capital R small y, we get round but green seeds, because we see there are two small y's. In the third case, when capital R small y combines with small r and capital Y, once again we get yellow and round seeds, because there is a capital R and there is a capital Y. In this case, there was two capital R's, but there were two small y's, which means that they were recessive characteristics for the seed color, and that is why it was green in color. In this case, the last case with the capital R, capital Y combining with small r and small y, we get round but yellow seeds, because once again we have two small y's over here, which means the color becomes green, but the seed shape continues to remain round because of this capital R. Coming to the third gamete combination over here with small r and capital Y, when this combines with capital R and capital Y, we get round and yellow seeds. When this small r and capital Y combines with capital R and small y, once again we get round and yellow seeds. But when this small r and capital Y combines with small r and capital Y, we get wrinkled but yellow seeds, because there are two small r's but two capital Y. The two small r's give us wrinkled seeds, recessive characteristic for the shape of the seed, and the two capital Y's give us yellow seeds, which is a dominant characteristic for the seed color. Then when the small r and small y combined with small r and small y, once again we get wrinkled seed but yellow seeds. Coming to the last set of combination for the last gametes that we have, small r, small y, when they combine with capital R, capital Y, we get yellow, round and yellow seeds. When the small r and small y combines with capital R and capital Y, small y, we get round but green seeds. When small r and small y combine with small r and capital Y, we get wrinkled but yellow seeds. And when small r and small y combines with small r and small y from this parent, we get wrinkled and green seeds, because here this is homozygous recessive total, two small r's and two small y's, completely recessive characteristics. So in total, how many do we get as round and yellow seeds from here? If we count, we'll come to know. This is round and yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So there are 9 round and yellow seeds. How many are round but green seeds? So here 1, 2, 3. Okay. And how many are wrinkled but yellow seeds? So we have wrinkled and yellow, right? So we have 1, 2 and 3. And how many are wrinkled as well as green? Just 1. So that means if we look to get a ratio of this cross, then we get a particular ratio, a dihybrid ratio, just like we had a monohybrid ratio, and that would be 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. 9 which are these types, okay, I'll just erase this part. 9 which are round and yellow, 3 which are round but green, 3 which are wrinkled but yellow, and 1 which are both wrinkled as well as green. So in the ratio of 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1, a total of 16 outputs or 16 offsprings are possible. We say 9, if we add this we should get 16. That would be 9 plus 3 12, 12 plus 3 15, 15 plus 1 16. So in this dihybrid cause we see that the recessive traits, that is wrinkled as well as green seeds, remained hidden in the F1 generation but were expressed in the F2 generation in varying ratios. The two characteristics, though they were together, they retain their own identity. So different forms of traits retain their own identity. This forms the basis of principle of segregation. So then what is the dihybrid cause? I just discussed over here that we find it in the ratio of 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1, and that here this actually shows you how many he experimented with. He got 315 round, 108 315 round and yellow, 108 round and green, 101 wrinkled and yellow, and 32 wrinkled and green. So he worked with a total of 556 seeds, and not just what we got over here, working with just 2 of them getting 16. Okay, so he worked with he got a combination or total output of 556 seeds, but in this ratio. So he got round and yellow seeds, 9 of them, then he got round and green seeds, 3 of them, then he got wrinkled and yellow seeds, 3 of them, and he got wrinkled and green seeds, 1. And that 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1 is referred to as a dihybrid ratio. So which are the 3 Mendel's laws of inheritance? First of all, first one is law of dominance, second is the law of segregation, also known as the law of purity of gametes, and the third is the law of independent assortment. So we'll look at each one of them separately. Principle of dominance. So we've known that one allele dominates over the other, or one dominant trait dominates over the other. So this is the law of dominance, which states that a gene has two contrasting alleles, and one always expresses itself in the organism. The one which expresses itself in the organism, that is referred to as a dominant trait. Okay. So in heterozygous organisms, only one of the 2 alleles will express itself. The dominant trait will express itself, whereas the recessive trait will remain hidden. We have seen this in case of heterozygous tall plants. Coming to the law of segregation, we have seen how the gametes segregate themselves, okay, into capital T, small t. So law of segregation says that traits get segregated completely during the formation of gametes without any mixing of alleles. So in a hybrid tall plant, we see how the gametes are segregated, capital T, small t, capital T, small t, and various combinations then combine with each other. So segregation always happens during gamete formation. Coming to the law of independent assortment. So law of independent assortment says that the traits can segregate independently of different characters during gamete formation. Okay. So cell pollination of hybrid plants with round and yellow. In other words, what law of independent assortment says is that how the traits, now there are two traits involved over here, round seeds and yellow seeds, or wrinkled seeds and green seeds. How round seeds are appearing has no bearing over the color of the seed. You getting it? So the shape of the seed is one character and the color of the seed is another character. The alleles segregate and combine with each other for one particular trait has got no effect on how the alleles segregate or combine for another trait, in this case the color of the seed. That is how it is seen. So if it is round, it doesn't matter, it has no significant, has no bearing over whether the shape of the seed will be green or yellow. It does not influence it. That is it. In other words, that is what it tries to say. And this is the law of independent assortment. So coming to the fact, how do traits get expressed? We have discussed this, so we'll just revisit this once again before we end this video over here as to how traits get expressed. We know that in a cell has got a nucleus, and in that nucleus we have chromosomes. The chromosomes are made up of genes, which are short segments of DNA. These DNA produce proteins, and based on their combination, or you can say the way they are coded or the messages they give out in their gamete formation, it decides whether what the characteristic will be. Okay, you see over here how monohybrid cross comes about. Okay, and it in the F1 generation it gives us one particular characteristic, and in the F2 generation we have the green seeds coming across, which shows you that it was hidden in the F1 generation, and how you have the genotype ratio and the phenotype ratio. See, the genotype ratio will be different than the phenotype ratio, which means that in case of the genotype we will have different combination, phenotype will have different combination. But in case of when we speak about traits getting expressed, that depends on various combination of alleles. When these alleles combine together in a particular way, certain genotypes come together. Based on the genotype, a particular phenotype will be expressed. If it is a dominant genotype, then we have dominant characteristic being expressed. If it is a recessive genotype coming together, then we will have a recessive characteristic or trait that will be expressed. So that's all in this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.